Okay, as you can see, I purchased this sign from Hobby Lobby. It's a family sign. And again, I will link all of the prices. But as you can see, I wanted to do something different with this sign. So I began to take my ruler and I began to score off the bottom half because I wanted to pizzazz it up and make it look a little different from what it normally looks like. So I took my ruler and I scored off the bottom. Once I completed that, then I took some painter's tape and I began to cover just the bottom area of, of that particular family sign. Now, I will say this, I used that blue painter's tape, and I wish that I would not have because once when I take it off, as you will see a little later in the video, it began to pull off a lot of the facing of the wood there, and I didn't like that. But I was able to paint over it, and it still turned out fine. But I just kind of, you know, wanted to pizzazz the bottom of it up. So like I said, I took the blue painter's tape and I covered the bottom half of it. And then once I finished doing that, as you can see, I took my Waverly chalk paint. You can get this from Walmart. Just make sure that you shake it up very, very good. And I did that because I wanted to, and you can see I kind of have it upside down. I'm sorry about that. But it is the Waverly chalk white paint. And this is what I use mostly in my craft rooms if I'm wanting to, change how an item looks. So as you can see, once I finally got the chalk paint open, I began to paint my letters. Now, as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm painting each letter, but not only am I painting those letters, I'm actually trying to get between every crevice that there is, because you know with the letters, they're shaped differently, and so you don't want to leave any of the brown showing. So I wanted to make sure that I try to get everything covered. I went around the sides, the edges, and everything, because like I said, I wanted this whole sign where the letter part was to be white. I didn't want any brown to be showing in that. Now, as you may see and know, I did paint over this twice. I wanted to, let it dry for the first time, for the first paint that I did. And then I actually waited and I went over and did a second coat just to make sure that I got everything. And as you can see here, even in the video, I was making sure that I got every little crevice and corner that was supposed to be white. I made sure that I did do that. And I did it on the first and the second coat. Now, also, I wanted to let you all know, right here, I am using the Waverly chalk white paint, but they have various colors. You don't only have to use the white. If you check Walmart.com, they have, every color that you can imagine, and you can always find different colors to do different projects and craft projects that you want to do. I chose the white. Sometimes you can go into the Hobby Lobbies in different stores and they already have the signs painted white. Now, if you don't want to use the Waverly chalk paint or go through, taking your time to do all of this, you can choose the option of just using a spray paint. You can use the spray white paint. That could be easier. But as for me, I didn't feel like, going outside and having to just to go in and spray paint and all of that. And besides, it was raining like cats and dogs yesterday. So, of course, I was not going to go outside. But I did wanted to get this video done and get my projects finished. So that was the reason, one of the reasons why I chose to do it inside and use the Waverly chalk paint. So, as you can see, when I pulled the painter's tape off, it began to peel away the top layer of the family sign. But I learned from my mistakes. I'll never use that again. But I went on and I got this beautiful gold color. I got it out of Hobby Lobby. I'll leave all the details below. And I wanted to do something different with this sign. So what I did was I went on and I painted it this beautiful gold color at the very bottom. Now, I could not have asked for anything more because it was just, I don't know, it's something about the whites and the golds now that are coming back into foreplay. well, they've probably been back into foreplay, but I've been seeing a lot of designs with this. So I'm excited about it, and I'm, wanting to see how this sign is going to turn out. Like I said, I wanted to pizzazz it up a little bit, and that's exactly what I am doing here. Pizzazzing this sign up, making it my own. However, you can use the colors that you would like. Um, but for me, this white and gold, I wanted to do something that was going to tie in together for this particular craft project. So all of the projects that I'm doing today is going to tie in to the colors with this family sign. So as you keep watching, I just kept painting away and getting it all done. But now this isn't the last thing I did. I actually did something else to pizzazz this up a little bit more. Now, before I get to that next step, this is how the sign looks just with the gold paint and the white paint so far, okay? You can see this is another product that I use. I'm going to put a picture in here. I got that from Hobby Lobby. It's almost like a glitter paint. But I thought that adding this, it would make that gold pop just a little bit more. Excuse me. So I went on and I added just a little bit into the container. The consistency of it is almost like a glue with the glitter. They had the colors in this was phenomenal. It would, have brought out the gold paint very much. And so all I did, I just started, adding it over the top of the gold part of the family sign, and it spread very easily. I had no issues there. But I thought that this really pizzazzed it up and took it to another level. As you can see, it did darken, excuse me, those the color of the gold a little bit, but then it also made it sparkle a little bit as well. Um, and I've never tried this particular product, but I really like it. I could not ask for any more, and I thought that the sign just turned out phenomenal. You'll see the finished effects in just a few minutes, but please always try to, when you're doing your craft projects, try to do something that's very unique, that is different, that you make it your own, because that's really what crafting is all about, making it your own style, what you like. And so with me, this is what I like. I like colors that are gold, silvers, different things like that, very classy, elegant. Those are the kind of things that I like. And I know with this particular sign, I can dress it up, I can dress it down. I'm just so excited for you all to see all of the craft projects today and see how each and every one of them tied in together. But just continue to watch and you will be amazed and surprised. Now, I also wanted to add, I did go over this sign with the gold paint or glitter twice because I wanted to make sure that it really, really took effect. And I'm glad that I did went over it twice because it darkened it up enough so that you're able to see it. The colors were separated at the same time. You can see the white, and the gold, and I think that it turned out phenomenal. It was a great product. I had no issues with it. Like I said, I think that it turned out to be an awesome project. Okay, so this is our second project, which is our jazzed up flower pots. These are the very smaller flower pots. And as you can see here, I was trying to take the blue painter's tape and section it off because I wanted to do two different colors, which of course is the white and the gold. But the tape was just not working. I was trying to do that to be able to get a straight line around it. So I got frustrated and I just started to wing it by myself and tried to draw a line around it by using one of the little tie bands that goes on the back of your ponytail to try to get as much even as a circle as I possibly could. It wasn't as straight, but it was better than nothing. So I did this method using the ponytail band and just kind of went around the flower pot with a pencil to try to get an even circle all the way around that, that was consistent with what I wanted to paint with. As you can see, I had to go back once again, and I had to try to make sure that the line was as straight as possible. And then I took this beautiful color. This is another color I believe that I had used that I had gotten from Hobby Lobby. I will put all of the information into the bottom of the screen, but I believe it was that one, or either it was the one that I had previous used from Hobby Lobby that I did the sign with, but I'll link it below. But I just kind of winged it by myself, trying to stay within the line that I had drawn and paint this a beautiful golden color. Remember, we're still matching that white and gold, and so I did it this way so that I was able to get it all the way around. Again, I think that this color is so pretty. If you can see, it just kind of speaks for itself. I don't believe that I had to go over this twice, but knowing me, I probably did go over it twice because I really wanted that color to pop, even though this is not going to be our final finish. Excuse me. I even painted the bottom of the little small flower pots as well, because I wanted everything to be cohesive and for everything just to match, as well as the top and the bottom. Again, this is a gorgeous color, so I will encourage you and say to you, when you're doing craft projects, you know, think of colors that you don't often do. Now, if you can see, I did have I had two other flower pots that I was going to be working on. As you can see, the little small clay flower pots. And so what I did was I went and I used the Waverly Chalk white paint, and I just painted over these so that they would be a solid white color. And I did this to both of these, and just kind of, I usually I go over it 2 times, but sometimes you may not have to go over it 2 times, and if you don't, that's fine. But I went over these, and at first inside I was just gonna leave them as is. I wasn't gonna too much worry about, painting inside, because I was planning on doing something inside of them. But at this point, while I was painting it, I wish I would have just went on and painted inside, because later on I had to go back and do that. But either way, it still turned out wonderful. And I did both of these little flower pots like this. These are excellent craft projects to do for your little kids. I know that Mother's Day is gone, but of course it will come again, and you can always take this video, and this will be something that you can do with your kids. The fathers can do with their kids, for the mothers. And these will be awesome gifts for mimas or grandmothers as well. So, you want to definitely take that into consideration. But these projects actually turned out fast. Turned out great. So what I'm going to do now is show you what I did next to the flower pot. So as you can see here, what I begin to do for the bottom half of the gold clay pot, I begin to use that previous gold glitter paint that I had gotten, and I begin to kind of spice this and jazz this clay pot up. Now, I was taking my time going around the edges because I didn't want to go over that line, and I was trying to keep it as neat as possible. But once I got the hang of it and got around that, then I just started painting the rest of the clay pot with this beautiful glitter color. And as you can see, it really brings out the color. And that white and gold, again, just like with the family sign, all of these colors are going to be blending in together. So it actually turned out really well. I could not have asked for anything better. Now I'm even going to, do other things to these clay pots, and I'm sorry it kind of went off camera. I was trying to stay focused there, but I even did the bottom of the pot. Okay, so here you see that I am now using the transfer method. I actually came up with some words, which is grow in grace. So pretty much all I did was took some transfer paper or wax paper, printed off some letters, and then stretched the back of another piece of paper and kind of transferred it onto the little clay pots. And it actually took very good. Then I removed that and I began to take me a black marker, and I just traced over what I had already, you know, put on there. I could see it very well, and I just copied over the letters, and it turned out very good. I think that the black, I was going to go with gold colors in the letters, but I chose black, and I think that looks so much better. And it turned out actually good. I had some different ideas, but I switched up. So now we're going to go ahead and get started on our greenery that we're going to put inside of these little clay pots, okay? So as you can see here, I began, once I completed the little floral pots, I began to take my flowers that I had got from Michael's. It had to have been over a year ago. I usually go into the Michael's and find different flowers, and I'll pick them up right then. I have some ferns here, so I was going to try to go ahead in and just, you know, just stick the flowers in there. But to me, it just was not sitting up like I needed to sit up and look, you know, like nice flowers, especially when I started putting in the taller grass. I didn't like the way that it was sitting up. So what I did, I got some styrofoam, and I began to just cut it down and stick inside the little clay flower pots. And then once I did that, I actually covered that with some little moss grass that I had and stuck my flowers in it from there. And it seems like to me that the flowers set up so much more prettier, and they just did not fall over, which is how it's supposed to be anyway. And so when I did that, it just looked so much more better. They looked like they were live flowers. So I did finish that, and they looked it exactly like I wanted them to look. I was very pleased with the outcome of it. And even if you're doing this, just know sometimes certain flowers that you have, they're just not going to stand up on their own unless you have something down in there that you can stick in them, which is I use the styrofoam. But they actually turned out brilliant. I mean, this is not a hard project, but it turned out phenomenal to me. I'm very pleased with it, and I could not have asked for anything better. Okay, so for my third project, we were doing a front door chalk sign. Now I got this wooden sign, excuse me, from Hobby Lobby. If you can't tell, I love Hobby Lobby. So this is some chalk paint that I had that I picked up from Lowe's that apparently someone had had it mixed and they didn't want it. It was $2. And I picked it up maybe about 2 years ago, and I never used it. It always sat in my craft room, in my sewing room. And so what I did, I pulled it out and I began to paint this sign. I wanted to do it in the chalk paint. I think that it is so classy and it is so pretty. Made sure that I did all of the edges, because that's very important. You don't want any of the brown wood showing. You want the whole thing to be covered with the chalk paint. This is, I believe this is like half a gallon chalk paint or something like that. I can't remember, but I got a great deal on it. Can't go wrong with this. I'll show you in the description box later which paint it was that I had gotten. But as you can see, I took my time and I really gave this a thorough painting. I actually did go over it a second time because I wanted to make sure that every area was covered. And when I did that, I completed that once it dried. These are some stencils that I had gotten. I want to say they were from Michael's. Michael's or either Hobby Lobby. And what it says is home is where your story begins. And so what I did, I wanted to take the white Waverly chalk paint and I wanted to stencil this in. Again, these are very easy projects. You cannot go wrong with these projects. And all I did was just dapper it on. I had to be very careful because you know with stenciling, things can tend to bleed through and it does not come out looking that well. And so what I did, excuse my arm for being in the picture, but I was making sure that I was holding it down because it seemed like every time I dapped on it, it was trying to come up. But I was able to get this finish. I thought that that white Waverly chalk paint will look good against the black chalk paint. And it actually did. It actually turned out beautiful. Um, I didn't have any problem as long as I was holding it down. Now, I will say that when you're using these stencils, you want to be able to tape it down. Each four corners I did tape down, and then I also tried to hold it in certain places that I felt that it was trying to come up. But again, I didn't want everything to be on the same line. And so as you can see at the top, I put home is where your story, and then under that I put begin, because I wanted it to have enough room and I wanted to be able to not look over clustered. As you can see, if I tried to got begin on that same line, it would not have worked. So I had to, put it under there. But usually, if you usually have a longer piece of board or whatever you're working with, so that it can go straight across and you don't have to, take it up once you do. But it wasn't as much problem as I thought it would be. All I had to do was just stop, wash the stencil off, and come back, retape it down, and start doing, finishing up the crafting that I had been doing. Okay, so as you can see here, I went and got some greenery to be able to apply to the top of my chalkboard. I thought that the greenery would incorporate very well with the white chalk paint as well as the black chalk paint. Here I have some ribbon. This is the black and white stripe as well as the polka dot. And I thought incorporating these two together, it would make a very interesting bow. And so as you can see, I was trying to see how I was just going to do it at first, because I have not tied a bow in a while. Sometimes you forget how you do it. And so at first it was a little, challenging for me, but I kept working with it until I got it how I really, really wanted it. And what I did in order to make sure that nothing came apart once I got it the way that I really, really wanted it to be, I have what they call the floral wire. And it's very flexible. You can, twist with it. You can wrap it around things. It's not as strong, but it was strong enough to hold this ribbon in place to do what I needed it to do. So I went and I got some of that, and I kind of just wrapped it around, as you can see, just to hold that middle section into place as I was, trying to get the ribbon together like I explained to you. And then I wanted to make sure that my legs, which I call those long parts that sticks away from the bow, I wanted to make sure that they were incorporated in the bow as well. And so I just kept working with it. It took a minute. Like I said, I haven't tied a bow in a while, but I kept working with it. And once I got it the way that I wanted it to be, I went on and took the polka dot um, ribbon, and I began to wrap that middle section with that polka dot bow. I don't know, sometimes I have a knack of just mixing colors together. And this is just something that I had in my stash, and I was like, well, I think that that will look awesome. So I kind of went in, put the bow together. I pulled out my glue gun, and I just kind of wrapped that middle section around the polka dot and just glued it into place so that it would hold. And once I did that, I knew that that was an excellent choice for me to be able to apply it to that chalkboard. Now, as you see here, I'm about to take and glue my greenery down and glue it into place where I would like to have it. And then, as you can see, I made sure that I put it exactly where I wanted it. Because sometimes once you start using the glue, it's kind of hard to move it, and then things begin to be messy. So just make sure that you kind of know where you want to actually put it at. And then once I got those into place, I actually did my other side with the greenery as well, made sure that that was in place. and made sure that it, of course, you want to make sure that it is sticking down. You don't want anything coming up. And then I went and I added my beautiful black and white bow to the middle of this. That actually brought it out. I knew that when I laid it on the sign, I had already knew that what I call the legs of the bow, I knew that it was going to be a little too long and that I was going to have to cut it, but I didn't mind that, and I just kind of, went on and placed it in the area that I wanted it to. I did place it up a little bit higher so that I didn't have to cut the legs of it too short, the bow legs too short. And it still turned out wonderful. And I still wanted to make sure that, when you look at the sign, that you can read what it is saying. So that was the purpose of me cutting those legs down. You don't want to have a sign and you have all of this beautiful, gorgeous writing on it, but then at the same time, you can't read what it says. So you want to make sure that when you're doing this, that it's not in the way. So of course, I made sure that I did that. I wasn't sure if I was going to add more flowers or not, but when I began to look at it, I was like, hey, it looks good. So I'm just going to leave it as is. And that's exactly what I did. I thought it turned out phenomenal. But as I was saying that, I started looking at it. And, sometimes we as creators of different things in our own projects, we begin to look at it and we begin to say, do I want to add more flowers? And so when I looked at this and I wanted to add flowers in the middle, I was like, well, that's going to really take away from the bow. And so I did not want to do that. So I ended up removing that greenery from the middle, and I just left the bow there because I think the bow speaks for itself. Sometimes we can tend to overdo things, and I didn't want to do that. And as you can see that those are the little spots because I had used a different chalk paint. So here you see that I just kind of started playing with my craft project, and I took some of the chalk paint, the white, and I began to just get a small brush and go around the edges of it, just kind of playing with it. I didn't have any of the makeup sponges. My daughter had used all of mine. So I had to use this brush and try to get creative, even a little bit more, just to kind of outline it and give it just a little bit more effect. Then I had some sandpaper, and so I just kind of started brushing off some of the white chalk paint that I had put around the edges, just to kind of make it look a little bit, worn and used, such as chalkboard usually are. And so I wanted to kind of create that effect to it. And I just went all the way around with the sandpaper, just stretching off, a lot of the paint that I had put on there, just leaving just a tiny little bit. Then I took a wet napkin and was trying to wipe some of it off just to see if I needed to take more off or leave more on. So once I finish wiping my chalkboard down, this is my final result of it. I think it looks so beautiful, especially against the other items that I have done, the little clay pots as well as the family sign. It looks phenomenal, y'all, and I really enjoyed doing this project. However, we do have one more project that I want to get into. Okay, so as you can see, this is a sign that I had bought from the Dollar Tree for $1. I took everything off of it, the strings. I even pulled a little thank you sign from over it because this was, of course, a Thanksgiving sign that I'm using. And I began to paint it with my Waverly Chalk white paint. However, this is a lesson learned. Because I pulled that strip of that thank you strip from the front of it, it's not going to give me a flat, clean surface. And because of that, it's going to be kind of hard, or if not impossible, to really get a beautiful sign that I'm looking at doing out of this. But however, I went on and I painted the front side of it. And once I got finished, then I was like, this is not going to work. So what I did was I took I waited for it to dry, and then I flipped it over, took the sign off of the back of it, and I just gave it a coat of the chalk paint, and I also gave it a second coat as well, so that I could have a fresh, nice flat surface to work with without any issues. Now, while I'm waiting on that that sign to dry. I did pick up this little cute birdhouse. And because you know that I'm sticking with my theme of the beautiful gold, whites, and greens, and a little bit of black, I wanted to take that paint that I had previously used with some of the other projects, and I wanted to paint this birdhouse a beautiful gold color. I just thought that it would be so beautiful for me to actually paint it that color. How many birdhouses do you see that is gold? So that tells you if any bird lives in this house, it's got to be rich, right? Just a little joke. But being on the serious tip, I thought that this would be an awesome um, way to paint the birdhouse. You see I have two different gold colors here. I was going to go with the first one, but then when I began to look at it, I was like, well, that second coat, at first I started trying to mix it, and then I was like, well, the second coat, it just looks so much more vibrant and pretty. Both of them are pretty, but I wanted that lighter gold. And so what I did is I started working with it after I tested, and I said, I think I want to just go with the lighter color. And so that's what I begin to do. I just begin to kind of go over the birdhouse in this pretty golden color, y'all. So I have to show you all how this turns out once I finished it, okay? Now, please forgive me because I am not focused and my birdhouse is not in the camera. Sometimes you get so caught up in your work, you kind of forget that you're videotaping this. At least I do. And so, however, in some of this footage, my birdhouse is not in view for you all to see. But what I am doing now, I can explain it to you. I'm currently still painting it that beautiful golden color. And I'm just going to get the whole birdhouse, the top, all around it, everything painted the gold. I kind of ran out of the little bit of the gold in painting it, but I just, resupplied it and just kept right on painting the birdhouse. And as you'll see, this is going to come out phenomenal like it always does in pretty much everything that I've been trying to do. It can get, frustrating sometime when you don't videotape it, right in the camera. So y'all, please forgive me for that. Next time it will be better, but you will be able to see the finished product of what I was actually doing. And I'm just, like I said, just finishing up painting this birdhouse, this pretty gold color. I started to add some glitter into that, and I'm thinking that I probably should have added some beautiful gold glitter to this house so that, the bling would have just been off the chain with it. But I did not do that, and now that I'm looking back at the video and I'm saying to myself, wow, I should have just added that glitter to it because it really would have made it pop. But let's go to the next step, which is our sign. Okay, so as you can see, I now have my stencil out, and I wanted to use some black chalk paint since we used the white chalk paint to paint the surface. I thought that the black lettering will bring it out even more. And as you can see, my cute little sign says anything is possible with confidence and cute shoes. You all have to go look at my shoe video that I actually have on here. I did a shoe haul and it is phenomenal. So please make sure to go and watch that. I did these letters. I actually used the punts, and I took my time and tried to make sure that none of the letterings were lifting up, and I did not want it to bleed, but however, there was a little bit of bleeding, and I'm going to show you what I did to try to correct it. But I went over this, and I did it all in black, and as far as for the shoe, I used some of that pretty gold paint, and when I lifted up, I could see that some of it did smear, and I was not happy about that. My letters was not as crisp as the other one that I had did with the chalk, and so I was kind of upset. So I had to take a little bit of the white chalk paint and try to go over and clean up as much as I possibly could. And so then I was thinking, what could I do for the letters? Because some of the letters did not come out as good. So what I did, I had one of the black markers. I will link it down below, but it's one of the markers, and it's almost like marker and a crayon mixed together. I'll show you what it is shortly. But I use that to kind of trace over the letters and to make them look as straight as possible, so that you know, I would not have to, you know, start all over or just say I didn't really like it. So I tried to fix it. That's what you do in crafting. If you do something and you mess it up, instead of, unless it's really, really bad, instead of just, you know, trying to start over or throwing it away, see what you can do to try to fix it. So that was my next step that I did. Now, this is what I thought was the finished product, but when I looked at it, I was like, I think that I want something a little bit more where it can really, really bring it out. So I'm going to show you what I did. I actually did it off camera. I took one of the brushes and I began to go around it with some of the black chalk paint, and I added a cute little bow to the top of it. And when I did it, it really brought this sign out, you all. I want you all to take a look at this. I even went and added some little greenery to the gold birdhouse, and I thought that that was a cute touch to it. But once adding the little black trim around that sign with the bow, it really brought it out so pretty. Everything just coordinates so well together, and all of the colors are blending in. So you have golds, you have greens, you have black, whites. Even throw some yellow in there. That's just some flowers that I kind of stuck into a bucket behind that sign there. But I thought that this was an awesome project for you all. These are things that you all can do in your home to dress up your home, to make it look totally different. These things can be placed in various places in your houses, and I'm pretty sure that you will get great compliments from them. I enjoy doing these projects. I hope that you all will subscribe to my channel. I hope that you all have enjoyed what we have done together, even though they were simple projects. But simple things, sometimes you can make them dramatic and make them be what you really like them to be. So again, I thank you all for being a part and coming into the home of the original Jones broadcast. And I thank you all. If you have not, again, subscribed to my channel, please do so. I would love to have you as my subscriber. Again, peace, love, and happiness. Have a blessed day.